Доброе утро, это я, Бенджамин. Австралия Беларуси. Сейчас я в Дананг, вьетнамский. И сегодня I will compare Philippines and Vietnam. And you'd think, man, these countries are kind of like close to each other. They'd be pretty similar. But it turns out they're freaking very different. And I've got absolute definite preferences when it comes to this stuff. So I'm going to compare the two countries, man. They're both kind of like up and coming in a sense. Like Thailand's like the established Southeast Asian thing, and obviously the Bali Island within Vietnam. But these two countries kind of on their way up, Vietnam and Philippines. And of course here in Vietnam, man, Haruski, like Ruski Ludi, everywhere, absolutely everywhere. So I'll point a few out. We might even talk to a couple if I hear them speaking Russian. Other than that, let's go for a bit of a walk around. I'm in Da Nang. I'm in like the heart of the tourist area. So I'm just going to turn you guys around. Look at that, jungle. It's pretty cool, huh? It's like cement, but trees everywhere. So it's well landscaped in a lot of ways. And of course, this is like one of the main tourist streets. That's obvious, but just normal suburban streets look like this, with all this kind of trees going on and quite homely and nice and whatever. So, all right, let's talk about some differences. So in Philippines, look, you get some English, yeah, especially in Manila. You're getting some English. You can talk to people. People who are in a shop will have at least their 50 basic words. You can chit chat, get the basic stuff done. This helps a lot. And then once you start getting into, as I say, Manila, the educated classes in some of the larger cities, you get a little bit more English, right? You can speak. Whereas here, man, it is a big wall. A big wall is up, I tell you what. People, I think, are very open in a sense. Let me just show you this is one of the classic dodgy not 24 hour, but early morning places. These are banh mi. So the exchange rate here, just to give you an idea, if you're complaining about inflation in your own Western country and you can't afford to live, blah, 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 25k is roughly $1, yeah? So this will just be like a roll. You can see. Roll with some salad and some meat. Of course, it's banh mi. Anyone who's been to Vietnam's like, oh, banh mi, I love banh mi. So you've got 25k there. So it's literally $1. It's like, exchange rate's like 26 and change. So it's like 90 cents for a banh mi. It's pretty much a meal. Let's do a little bit of a sneaky look on people's plates and see if we can see something. No, I got nothing. All right, let's be really dodgy and do a little bit of filming over the shoulder. No, it's not there. But you can see, actually, let's see him in action. Just walk around. They'll smile. They won't realise it's a vlog about Belarus. You can see him in action there, putting together the banh mi's. All right, let's go. Yeah, language is a big one, man. Here, honestly, look, I think the local people here, they're not seen as friendly as Philippines, but I think they are, man, honestly. I think it's got to get them in the right spot. And as I say, it's just a huge bloody language wall up. Like, once you're out of the tourist area, like, you go to like an eatery outside the tourist area and, man, they don't even know hello. You know what I mean? Thank you, goodbye. They don't even know these words. So there's a bit of a wall up, you know. It's a bit of a thing, and obviously culturally, the place here was obviously affected by the Chinese. Of course, you had the obviously massive Chinese versus America war that went on for 10 years or whatever. So you got like the Chinese obviously had a huge influence here, pushing kind of a communist type stuff and those ideas. More the older Chinese ideas from 5,000-6,000 years ago. They pushed a lot of this here. So these people are a little bit more like East Asians in terms of their mentality and a little bit less like Southeast Asians. So they're a bit less kind of fun and playful like Thais or Filipinos or Indonesians, and a bit more kind of serious and money orientated like Chinese. So yeah, that's language. Language will definitely get you a long way in Philippines. It won't get you anywhere here, really, honestly. Next up, visa. Something very practical, of course, are the visas. And the Filipino visa is probably a bit easier, yeah? Because you can just keep extending your existing visa without leaving. Whereas here in Vietnam, you go to these visa runs, you get your bus out to Laos for like a day trip, it's a bit of money, I forget how much, but I've been quoted a few different prices, and it's not insignificant. Or you just bail. You fly to Hong Kong or KL, the two most obvious flights from here in Da Nang, and then you reapply for a visa, come back in for 90 days at a time. So in and out, 90 days. They don't bug you about it though. Like I've met some Russian dudes here that have been here for like 3 years, right? Just keep going out 90 days, back in 90 days. It's pretty crazy. But they're not onto this yet here. Obviously, in a lot of countries, they start bugging you when you do a whole lot of border runs in a row. Vietnam not, but you got to do it. Whereas Philippines, you just go in visa free for a month, extend for a month, then extend 2 months for 3 years without leaving. So it's a little bit more convenient for that reason in the Philippines. As I was saying, Filipinos have a reputation for being very warm and very chatty and much more engaged with you just as you're living life. Definitely true. Vietnamese are a bit more reserved on the surface, but honestly, from my experience, if you engage Vietnamese people, they often get just as excited as Filipinos. They're just less aggressive about it. You know what I mean? Whereas Filipinos, like, wow, they get really excited. They're laughing, they're giggling. So many times you'll just see like a group of schoolgirls and one of them will stare at you, nudge their friend, and you look around, there's like there's 10 kids staring at you with wide puppy eyes. You kind of get this stuff a lot. And obviously ladyboys chasing you around, all this kind of crap. But here in Vietnam, you don't kind of get that. You don't get that as much. But if you do engage, they often get very excited. And if you go to the same place over and over and over again, and you kind of get that familiarity, especially with a family-run business, that can lead to kind of more interactions and whatever. Let's talk about day-to-day stuff, like day-to-day lifestyle, quality of restaurants, price of restaurants, variability of restaurants, and so forth. Vietnam wins by like freaking everything. It is good. It is much cheaper. The quality is so much higher, and that the way it's structured from a production point of view is entirely different. So Philippines, honestly, this is one of my gripes with Philippines, is that it's all just fast food franchise stuff, right? Every single suburb, every single street, the shops are the same, identical. Dunkin' Donuts, Wendy's, Jollibees, right? Just the same low quality food over and over again. Just while I'm here, guys, this is one of my favorite cafes, Omo. It's in a tourist area, but it's more of a local place. See inside there, getting pretty chockers. You'll often see me here sucking on a salt coffee in the early hours of the morning. When I say early, I mean 10 a.m. But it's a pretty cool place. They actually had a coffee party here the other day, and this is the sort of stuff they have here, this kind of cool stuff. Whereas, like, as I say, in the other country we're talking about, just less of that kind of stuff, you know, less of that kind of stuff. One thing though, if you do come to Da Nang, one thing you got to be careful of, because I know obviously, you know, 70% of you guys are Western and you probably don't want to come here, but for I think the Russians and Belarusians, you no doubt know Da Nang, and you probably have friends in Vietnam. See that crane there, mate? That means shit is being built, and the Vietnamese are rushing to build hotels, apartments, anything else at all for this rush of tourists, this boom of tourists into Da Nang for the last year or two. And what tends to happen is that they work, man. There's like an Australian building site, fuck me, no one does anything. You go to an Australian building site, you got one person doing something slowly, 32 people standing there doing fuck all. Here, man, they work hard. They get up early, they start early, they work hard, and it feels sometimes like every third building is getting worked on. So the point of all this is that you got constant drilling, hammering, sawing, vibrating throughout the day. So you want to be a bit careful with where you live, yeah? Before signing a contract or anything, you want to go there, check it out, and make sure there's nothing about to start, because the process takes several months, obviously, to build. Actually, that reminds me of something. You notice, you may notice this already, just from looking over my shoulder. You see how the front of all of these buildings is very narrow? See how they're very narrowly fronted? It's because there's a tax on property here, and the tax is based on the width of the property. So what you end up with is a whole lot of really narrow buildings, but they build up. So it kind of achieves its objective in a sense that it makes everything kind of, condensed, I guess, from a living point of view. So yeah, back onto the food. It's much more decentralized here. You don't have these massive companies like Jollibees, McDonald's, Wendy's, Dunkin' Donuts that just own the country's food supply. They fucking own it. You don't get anything like this, right? Again, banh mi place. Whereas here, it's all decentralized, super decentralized. You're buying your banh mi from a local lady who probably is just your neighbor with a little banh mi van out the front of her house, right? So what you get from that is a lot of innovation, much higher quality food, way higher quality food, lots of innovation, and just a better experience, you know? Like, who wants to go to friggin' Wendy's? Like, really, what's wrong with this country? No offense, Philippines, but it is a problem. The Philippines does have the Carinderia, which is like like a canteen, I guess you'd call it. Here's the beach, by the way. We'll go down. Obviously, both Philippines and Vietnam have beautiful beaches. Beautiful. Look at that, man. Shining off the water. It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. All right, let's have a quick wander down there as well. But yeah, they here they have this kind of more decentralized restaurant and cafe thing. And oh, dude, can I talk cafes? So obviously, Vietnam was a French colony. And with colonization, you get good and bad things, right? But you can really see here, let's just, crossing the road's a bit of a thing here. We should be good, yeah, it's pretty empty traffic this time of morning. Let's just go for it, fuck it. But yeah, crossing the road can be quite eventful of a process for a newbie, but it's fun. Here's a Russian couple here, right? Going for their morning swim. Already had their morning swim by the looks of it. Oh, look at that, soak that in. Woo-hoo. Man, what a feeling. It's beautiful. Just beautiful. Look at that. Thank you. One other big difference is in Philippines, what you kind of get a lot is special treatment. They call it a skin tax. That's what foreigners call it there, right? So they see that you're a foreigner, and suddenly the price goes up a lot. Whereas in Vietnam, it can happen in some circumstances, but man, I'm shocked at how honest a lot of the Vietnamese are, just on the basic little things. Again, I haven't dug too deep here, to be fair. I'm really just a tourist in essence, so I don't really know exactly how their culture is, but I can see that on a lot of things, they're very honest with things like change, and they're not jacking up the price randomly of fruit and vegetables on the street like they would in Philippines. In Philippines, you kind of got this sense that, well, there's a lot of people begging for money, a lot of people trying to scam, and you just kind of get this sense that everyone's trying to get in your pocket. That's the overriding sense that you get in the Philippines. Whereas Vietnam, you really don't. You really don't. They're much more commercially orientated. Yeah, they would never ask you for money. They'll walk around. I'll show you if I see one. But they'll walk around with like a board of like sunglasses, like literally like 200 pairs of sunglasses, and trying to sell those. Or walk around with, you know, new phone screens to fix your phone screen, whatever. They'll always try and do something for you to get the money, right? There's an expectation of mutual exchange. So that's you know, in terms of like staying somewhere long term, that is kind of good. Like, you don't really want to feel like you're getting scammed all the time, you know? All right, one thing you'll notice, I think, in Vietnam, the infrastructure is just a little bit better. Things are a bit cleaner, things are a bit more aesthetic, you know what I mean? Things are often made to look good. Like, the aesthetic side of thing is valued a bit more here than it would be in the Philippines. You kind of notice that. Definitely when I came from Manila, here, the contrast was quite sharp. But obviously Manila, it's tough to compare them because it's a big city, right? It's going to have a lot of the old infrastructure, a lot of the, you know, broken sewage and, you know, broken stuff and whatever, right? It's just the nature of a big, crowded Southeast Asian city. But whereas Da Nang's kind of being rebuilt with the tourist dollar at the moment. But yeah, in general, infrastructure's a bit better here, man. Yeah, things are a bit better put together, a bit cleaner and so forth. And it's cheaper here, which is a weird thing. I think Philippines is unusually expensive for two reasons. One, just the absolute corruption through every level of the country has just made things expensive for the end consumer. And also a lot of foreigners, or Filipinos or Filipinas, become foreigners, move overseas, send money back to the Philippines. So the Philippines is awash with foreign money, which again drives the price up. So Philippines is in that awkward spot where it's still really at the lower end of developing in terms of Southeast Asia. I think both Vietnam and Indonesia, for example, are a little bit more developed, just like 20%. This is GDP per capita, that's what I'm going off. A little bit more developed, a couple of years ahead there. Philippines is developing, definitely is developing. Don't cry at me, Filipinos, I'm sorry. Going in the right direction, right? But it's definitely more expensive, and that's linked a lot to corruption and so forth, right? So, and again, all the foreigners, all the Filipinos going and becoming nurses and maids and nannies in Arab states and Western countries. This is also all that cash coming back, driving up the prices. So Vietnam, Dude, I reckon Da Nang would be, I don't know, 40% cheaper. It's that much. Yeah, it's that much of a difference. It's really surprising. I think Philippines, you're looking at maybe Manila, maybe 500 a month for a basic apartment. Here, it's more like 250, 300, 350. You know what I mean? Depends what you want, yeah, obviously. And I'm in a tourist area, it's a little bit more pricey. You cross the river to where the locals mainly live, you can probably get something like 200, like, and decent, yeah, decent. Not like full on like shoebox and just your room and then a little bit of walking around the room, right? Around the bed. So actually decent size and good functioning aircon, whatever. All right, folks, concluding remarks comparing Philippines and Vietnam. Philippines definitely comfortable in that there's a lot of English, visa system's a lot better, and there's just like a lot of tourists. You just meet a lot of dudes if you want to kind of hang out, you know what I mean? Vietnam, look, probably livability is a bit higher, a bit cheaper. Just your day-to-day quality of life is a bit higher here, I would say, on average, compared to Philippines. So they're the key differences. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll smash out a few vids from here. And as I said, man, there's heaps of Russians here. A few Ukrainians and even less, again, Belarusians. So I might maybe do some interviews. I'm definitely going to go to, there's a restaurant called Ikra, which of course, as you know, means caviar in Paruski. And I might do a video from there. Maybe even a live stream. Depends how creative I get. So this is Bikini Bottom. This is like one of the most famous tourist restaurants in all of Da Nang. Alright guys, it's been a pleasure. Das Vidania.